Week 4 power rankings for the NFL season. As you know, I bring them to you guys every Tuesday after every NFL game completes. We've got some adjustments here as after the Miami Dolphins absolutely murder the Denver Broncos 70-20 in week 3 of the season. I moved around some teams here, and now we're going to have San Francisco still holding the top spot, but I got Miami jumping up to number 2, doing that without Jalen Waddle, doing that to the Broncos. And I get it. The Broncos aren't necessarily a defense that we're going to think is really great, right? We heard me say that I want Tua to do more against these teams. But the Broncos didn't have a great defense. The Patriots did. Of course, the Chargers did not. So I could almost move Miami up to that one spot. I felt like if they had one more reputable offensive game against a, very reputable defense. But nonetheless, I think if San Francisco and Miami played, Miami could win. But I feel like San Fran is just really that more balanced team on the defensive side of the ball. So it, really could fizzle Miami out there. Philadelphia at 3. We see what Philadelphia is able to do. The Bucks, they're still 3-0 on the year. They were still the NFC runner-ups. They're adjusting still without their 2 coordinators in the game. Jalen Hurts throws a couple picks last night, so we're still trying to see him get into that MVP form that we saw last season. I'm going to put Kansas City down at number 4. Of course, they beat the Bears, blowing out the worst team in the league. They're still going to stake. If Philly and Kansas City played, Philly would win in that rubber match, especially knowing how the Kansas City offense is not producing right now at a level that it should. Of course, it did against the Bears, but again, worst team in the league, worst defense in the NFL. Going to have the Buffalo Bills jumping up to number 5 as they blow out the Commanders, like I just mentioned, 37-3. Seems like they're back. They have 2 major blowout wins. I think it was 38-3 to the Raiders, 37-3 to the Commanders. Now, they do lose in week 1, but obviously that was a lot of high, emotions. Aaron Rodgers going out. Josh Allen just thought he was going to be able to win it no matter what. Clearly, they came back and figured out that they couldn't. Oh, God, I almost thought that was Dallas. I got Baltimore at 6. I thought Baltimore, even though they did lose this weekend to the Colts, I do believe the Colts are a decent team. They did have 2 wins the week before. They are banged up, so I could put them higher on this list. But overall, the Baltimore Ravens, I do think, are a good football team, and anyone that is below them, I do believe they would beat them if a matchup were to happen, possibly even today with the way that they showed some resilience, and especially as they get healthy, they can move higher on this list. Got the Detroit Lions at 7. Big win over the Atlanta Falcons, knocking the Falcons and the Commanders, as you see at the bottom, is different. Knocked them out of my top 15 teams overall. The Lions are playing good football this year. Jared Goff is being protected in a great way. If that defensive talent that they have on paper is actually able to perform how we thought it was going to in the postseason or in the preseason and in the offseason, and that offense stays elite like it was last year, I think the Lions are 9-3 in their last 12 games, 8-3 in their last 11, something like that. I heard it earlier today, but it just didn't necessarily stick. I got Dallas at number 8. They're still a solid team. They're struggling offensively, though, but their defense, I think, with the top teams that are underneath them, or with the teams that are underneath them in these top 15 power rankings, they would be able to beat them because of their defense. Now, again, their offense is struggling, but when you look at all these other teams that are below them, which the NFL is still shaking off some of the rust, right? But I do think Dallas will beat every team below them. A lot of these teams underneath them are struggling offensively or just not clicking over completely as a football team yet. They still have some things to do to get healthy. So I will leave Dallas at number 8, even though they do lose to the Cardinals. Jacksonville at number 9. They lose toughly to the Texans, but we had some tough losses this week. Like Baltimore lost, let's see. New Orleans lost. There was a couple of other teams that I had kind of had outside the top 15. So we had some losses this week. Some were bad, some were okay. But again, just because you lose in my power rankings or win doesn't mean you necessarily jump up or down unless it's a major win or loss, obviously like my up to number 2, or the Washington Commanders just getting blown out and falling out. Now, the Jacksonville Jaguars do have problems offensively, and I feel like they might be kind of high here at number 9 because they also had problems defensively against the Texans, letting C.J. Stroud get comfortable. Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson have to work on some things in order to get back to where they need to be, especially considering how they were in the preseason. Seattle Seahawks at number 10, solid football team. Zach Charbonnet absolutely embarrassed the Panthers defender yesterday with running over him. We're still seeing some of that JSN, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett kind of still gel together, be able to come together and be that top offense that, again, we talked about in the preseason for Seattle. Got to have them at number 10. The Chargers at number 11. And again, these rankings are kind of weird. I've seen some teams, have teams in the top 10, top 7, top 15 that really shouldn't be there. I try not to go off of other people's power rankings because everyone kind of ranks them differently. But I've got the Chargers here at number 11. They've got to work on things defensively, but they do beat the Minnesota Vikings. I wanted to put the Vikings in the power rankings, but they are 0-3. Minnesota is now 0-3 in one-score games. Chargers win 28-24. Keenan Allen has a day. Unfortunately, they lose Mike Williams. Justin Herbert has a day as well, going 40 of 47. Going to put Pittsburgh in at number 12 here. They do what they need to the weekend. Obviously, Pittsburgh. Who did Pittsburgh play over the weekend? I'm drawing a blank here. Who did Pittsburgh play recently? Okay. They do what they needed to do over the weekend against the Raiders. They could have won better, of course, and that's why they're going to be lower in these rankings. The defense is absolutely great, but Matt Canada, yet again, what is this offense doing on a productive output? We have to see them be better week in and week out to hang in a loaded division and a loaded conference. The Cleveland Browns at 13, Deshaun Watson with the bounce back game. The Browns absolutely shutting down the Titans offense, which again isn't necessarily hard to do. You've got the Titans overall not being a great offense, a good defensive front seven. So to see Deshaun Watson get into that nice groove, hopefully this is going to be the trajectory he's on to get Cleveland even higher on this list. Cincinnati coming back into the rankings at 14, not having a healthy Joe Burrow, grinding it out over the Rams. The Rams could have easily won this football game. Like I said, they're a very tough 1-2 team, but I think Cincinnati's got a bright future ahead of them. Jamar Chase breaks out. Joe Mixon was very big. Lou Anarumo, defensive masterclass. And then my New Orleans Saints at number 15, because we still have a lot of potential. We could have easily dropped out of here, but the defense is still going to be elite. We could see Derek Carr play this weekend. I do feel like the offense was finally starting to gel together here before Derek Carr does go out. So the NFL Week 4 power rankings going in: San Francisco 1, Miami 2, Philly 3, Kansas City 4, Baltimore 5, Buffalo 5, Baltimore 6, Detroit 7, Dallas 8, Jacksonville 9, Seattle at 10, the Chargers at 11, Pittsburgh at 12, Cleveland at 13, Cincinnati at 14, and the New Orleans Saints at number 15. Y'all get in the chat, get in the comments, let me know what you think of the NFL Week 4 power rankings.